Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this, a Thursday, January 29th, 2026. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host. Folks, do you know that today is National Puzzle Day? So 10 minutes ago, off air, I gave my co-host a puzzle. It's a riddle, technically, and it's this. What is always on time but never arrives? Again, what is always on time yet never arrives? We'll see if my co-host was smart enough to solve this riddle. In the meantime, she is the she-devil with a spatula. She is the Khaleesi of Quebec. She is the lovely Alexa Lavoie. How you doing there, Alexa?
I'm pretty good. And you?
Well, it's very cold. I don't know what it's like in Quebec. I was originally going to ride my bike into the studio today, but I didn't want to freeze my ball bearings up. Anyway, do you have an answer to that riddle?
You say to me to not Google it, so it's kind of hard.
Of course.
But what's always in time and never arrives?
Yes.
I was thinking maybe like the clock.
No, ma'am. The answer is tomorrow.
It's not funny.
Well, you tell that to the late, great Frank Gorshin, the Riddler from the 60s Batman series. That's where I got that one from. I always remembered that particular riddle. In any event, enough with the tomfoolery. Alexa, can you tell our audience what we're trying to do here today?
So we are trying to talk about news, everything that break out recently in terms of international news, but mainly Canadian news. We are live streaming on YouTube and Rumble. And if you are interested to contribute to our independent journalism, you can donate by sending us a super chat. In the same time, you can ask us some question, interact with us about certain topic. And thank you for contributing, because it's because of all of you that we can continue to do our journalism.
Fantastic, Alexa. And, one person who's really making a lot of news right now is BC Premier Eby. He is calling out Alberta Separatists as being those espousing treason. Let's throw to his clip, and we'll try to make sense of it all on the other side.
I'd like to just take and pause a moment. I read an article last night in the Financial Times about a group of people from Alberta, I won't describe them as Albertans, who went to the White House seeking the assistance of the United States to break up our country. Now, I understand the desire to hold a referendum, to talk about the issues you want to talk about in Canada. We got free speech, that's important. But to go to a foreign country and to ask for assistance in breaking up Canada, there's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason. It is completely inappropriate to seek to weaken Canada, to seek to go and ask for assistance to break up this country from a foreign power. And with respect, a president who has not been particularly respectful of Canada's sovereignty. I'm going to be raising that issue at this table. I think that while we can respect the right of any Canadian to express themselves, to vote in a referendum, I think we need to draw the line at people seeking the assistance of foreign countries to break up this beautiful land of ours that our forefathers, our foremothers, our parents, our grandparents fought for. There is a line. And especially at this time when all Canadians have to pull together, I think we can speak as one voice about conduct like that.
Wow. Alexa, I don't know where to begin. He said a lot of weird things there. The first thing that made my spidey senses tingle when he called these Albertans meeting with Americans, he said the phrase, "I won't describe them as Albertans." Well, what are they? I mean, what does he mean by that? It reminds me of when Trudeau, during the parliamentary debates, was shutting us down, saying, I'm not even going to call you media. Well, we are media. Right. So, first and foremost, I don't get the shot at people talking about separation. Suddenly, you lose your provincial identity, at least according to EB. He also said we have free speech. That's important. Do we really? We have just seen endless attacks on free speech. And lastly, and most importantly, Alexa, the Constitution allows a Canadian province where you live, they tried it twice, 81 and 95, to separate. It's all laid out. And so why all of a sudden, if Alberta is doing it, this is an issue of treason for EB?
Well, first of all, you need to also to come back when Quebec wanted to separate and how they got attacked by some politicians. The same thing happened like years ago during the last referendum, and also the interference of the federal into the separation of the province. So do I'm surprised? Not really, because, you know, Alberta represents a large amount of money from natural resources that's been transferred to other provinces. Quebec will need to realize soon that if Alberta is gone, Quebec will have a hard time if they are not starting to extract their own natural resources and deal with other markets. But the thing is, it's normal that Alberta are going to meet with the US because they are the biggest trade partner, especially regarding oil and all the resources that they have. So they are not going to go to see France, UK.
Yeah.
Why they would do that? They will go and see the partner that they will need if they separate from Canada. And also, they will need to have also military support. If they are separating from Canada, obviously they will not have, like, it takes time to build military. It takes time to build a different ministry. It needs time to get back on their feet. Like, it's just a province and they want to be a country. So there is a lot of different steps that it needs to take in consideration.
No, these are excellent points. And geography, Alexa. You drive far enough south in Alberta, guess where you hit? It's the state of Montana, which last I looked was part of the USA. So if you were, engineering a separate state, if you will, of Alberta, well, naturally, your most obvious trade partners from geography and from the economy is going to be the United States of America. And by the way, this is what I would say to Premier Eby. I mean, back off on being so sanctimonious. I mean, if you love Alberta so much, why are you dead set against a pipeline going from Alberta to British Columbia? And also, Mr. Eby, put your feet in the shoes of the average Albertan. How do you think they feel that in recent times, every federal election, by the time the ballots are counted after Ontario, it's already a slam dunk Liberal government, majority, minority, what have you. And that means trillions of dollars of your mineral wealth will be forever left underground. And please don't tell me about this memorandum of understanding. I'll believe that when I see shovels in the ground, and I don't think I'm going to live that long. So, Alexa, I think Eby talks a good game, but there's no there.
But the thing is, Alberta have had enough. They are surrounded by other provinces that don't want to work with them, and it's their main source of revenue. It's how actually they bring money into the province, and not only they have to give money to all the other provinces, but the other provinces don't want to work with them, to allow them to open the market, to get to expand the trade market. So at the end of the day, I kind of understand why Albertans have had enough. And to say that they are not Albertan, so what are they? Like, they live in Alberta. Mainly, if you look at them, they are real Albertan. Like, they are not like blue hair, kind of crazy leftists that you will find in the East Coast.
Yeah.
No, they are cowboy. They are like the people who actually grow their life over there. Like, so I think it's just a way to diabolize and to try to crush a little bit who they are, because same here in Quebec, what we are hearing is like, oh, those people are far-right extremists.
Yeah.
There is, and lots of them are saying, like, I would not be surprised that there is foreign funding into pushing Alberta to separate from the rest of Canada. And some of them have even mentioned like Russian funding in the US for some influencer and everything. And I'm just like, come on, are we bringing back everything that they said during the convoy to just try to diabolize part of the society that just wanted something else?
Yeah. No, you're quite right. I mean, this Russian bogeyman, I go back to the dossier against Donald Trump, completely debunked, but they still bring out that card. One quick correction, I think, of the other provinces, Alexa, Saskatchewan would be totally on side with Alberta, and I know there's sentiment in that province of separation as well.
Yeah, but they want to separate with them also.
Oh, yeah, for the same reasons, really. And that whole quote of, if you're not Albertan, well then, too bad we didn't have a journalist at that presser saying to Premier Eby, I know it'd be a bit of a prickly question, they don't like to go there. Well, what are they if they're not an Albertan, if they're a person born in Alberta and lives in Alberta, an illegal alien? And you know what? That might be a good thing. You get free eyeglasses, as it turns out, free Uber rides, and so on. But that's a subject for another time. Why don't we go to Mark Carney? Well, basically, he is saying that he's had good conversations with Dave Eby and Danielle Smith in Ottawa today. We're all focused on building a stronger, more sustainable, and more independent Canadian economy to create greater certainty, security, and prosperities for Albertans, British Columbians and all. You know what? He might want to float that statement in Oshawa, Ontario. Tomorrow, more than 1,200 GM auto workers are going to be losing their job. But again, Carney always talking the whole elbows up rhetoric without using that phrase. You know that, Alexa. That's he doesn't use that rhetoric anymore. I don't see a focus on building a more sustainable economy. And what's more, anytime I look at any economic announcement coming out of Carney's mouth, the first question I ask is, what's in it for Brookfield Asset Management?
It's all about Brookfield Asset Management. Every time that we sign something, Brookfield Asset Management have something to do with it. There is nothing about growing our economy. If it was for a sustainable economy, we will be starting, first of all, by building pipeline as fast as possible, and starting also to produce something, you know, to have raffinery, to have like some places where we build something, where we create something. But unfortunately, what we are doing is like just sending everything overseas or to the US, because we don't create, we just extract and send, instead of like doing something here to create jobs, to make sure that our economy is growing instead of not growing at all.
Yeah. And you know, Alexa, that's a great segue into our next clip. It's a video of Carney basically saying, oh, US, schmus, who needs them? We got some great new trade partners like China. Check it out.
Four continents, 6 months, that we have signed has been very much reinforced and led by the 20 trade missions that the premiers have led across 3 continents over the same period. One example is the new trade agreement with China that we all worked on together. Premier Mo was able to join. Part of that agreement unlocks more than $7 billion in export markets for Canadian farmers, ranchers, fish harvesters, and workers across our country. In our coming months, we intend to advance our trading relationships with global giants, including India, the ASEAN countries representing more than 20% of global GDP, and Mercosur. And we will work to renew our most important economic and security relationship with the United States through the joint review of the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement later this year.
Yeah, good luck with that, with making agreements with China. And we know that from the mouth of President Trump himself. But, Alexa, here's the question. Why was it, going back some 8 or 9 months ago during the election campaign, the Carney Liberals were saying China was an existential threat, and now suddenly, hey, they're kind of swell. We're going to strike a trade deal with them. Oh, yeah, there's Chinese foreign interference in Canada. They have some police stations here shaking down Chinese citizens. Let's talk about the 2 Michaels held in a prison for more than 1,000 days. That little thing going on in that country called the Uyghur genocide. But other than that, we totally trust them. We're going to have them bring in cheap EV cars. Alexa, what happened, other than the obvious question, of course? That was then, this is now. In other words, he said that during an election, the Liberals won the election, so now it's a completely new narrative for China. But I ain't buying what Carney is selling.
By the way, I think you forgot one of the biggest problem that we had with China. You remember the 2 scientists from the laboratory?
Yes.
That we never heard back from. What happened with them?
Still a mystery.
Still a mystery, but
Yep.
It was one of the biggest breach of public safety.
Yep.
In
Yeah,
our
you know what,
history.
Alexa? I've probably forgotten so much more, but that's my point, isn't it? There is so much odious material in terms of the China file.
Yep.
That where does one begin? And like I said, you saw what President Trump said several days ago when this is not going to go down well, striking a trade agreement with China. And by the way, it looks like those analysts who said, if you're going to buy that cheap $35,000 Chinese EV car in Canada, which contrary to what Carney intimated, will not be made in Canada. Not a chance. Good luck crossing the border. You might want to get a rental that day because the Trump administration is not going to allow these so-called spy cars into the U.S.
And also, who wants to make trade agreement with a country who literally control their citizens? In every sphere of their life, they have to add like a digital ID. Everything is being controlled. Everything is being spied on the citizens. There is no rights over there for them. So since when Canada have just put under the rug like the human rights, that this is the biggest part. Now we are going to India. I don't know. I've been traveling in India for 4 months, and I can tell you that the human rights over there, I would say that is not the best. And also, they are not all engineers over there. I can tell you this too. And as a woman, I can tell you as well that I was not safe at all. And that most of the men was not actually engaging in a conversation with me, but just because I was a female.
Well, that's awful, and I hate the idea you keep putting yourself in dangerous situations, Alexa. But, by the way, Carney did mention India, and you are now too. What is our relationship with India? I thought blackface
Brenton.
completely nuked it.
Brenton is our relationship with India.
Wow. Well, I don't know if those fences can be mended. Why don't we throw to U.S. Treasury Secretary?
This is another thing. I'm sorry. We have so much fraud, so much thing that is happening in between India and Canada. We have a lot of people exploiting our immigration institution. There is some people who are literally smuggling people across the border to America who live in Brampton. What are we doing? Like, why are we not like actually trying to solve this problem that literally come from India?
Oh, I agree. The immigration levels these last few years have been unsustainable. And, you know, I have a great source in the Indian community, and he has been emphatic on this point. You mentioned engineers in India. He said, Dave, the people coming over from India right now, they're not engineers and doctors and lawyers. It's not that class of people. And so we're talking about an unskilled workforce that's putting pressure on healthcare, putting pressure on the housing market. We can't, as a nation, afford to accommodate this immigration. But I don't see anything from the Carney Liberals talking about being serious on this file. And I think the reason, Alexa, is the unspoken strategy. Yeah, just come in. Remember, every 4 years or so, it was Team Red that brought you here, vote Liberal, and Bob's your uncle. Much like the Biden administration turned a blind eye to open borders and got maybe an estimated up to 21 million illegals in that country. I mean, I think it's all politically motivated.
But I would say that obviously it's happening in all Western countries, France, UK, US, Canada. If you look, Spain is the same thing. There is Portugal. There is also multiple like Western countries who are being invaded. Like literally is an invasion at this point when you have millions of people. Some of them that we don't know the number because we don't know how many actually enter illegally. This is a real safety problem, and this needs to be solved. But unfortunately, our government, the people who are being elected at this moment, are either too cowards or it's exactly what they want.
Yeah. And well, I can tell you, Alexa, since Trump came back into office, the party's over in the U.S. It's the opposite of an invasion. It's having ICE go out and try to clean up this mess, which is increasingly hard in entrenched blue cities and blue states. But nevertheless, they have every right to deport illegals. And I always love the argument from the left. Well, he hasn't broken any law yet. Excuse me. The moment you come into the country as an illegal, you are a criminal. And you know, and I also point to a great example of how to deal with this is Hungary. Hungary is getting chastised by European countries. Oh, come on, take down that fence. Take away those Jeep patrols of your border. They get it. I wish we had the Hungary method here in Canada, Alexa.
But I'm pretty scared for actually the European Union. Why I'm saying that? It's because starting in 2026, there will be penalties for everyone who refuse to take immigrants. So the fee would be extremely high, and the economy of the Western countries is not doing well, as we all know. And so I think some of them will either crash economically or they would be just invaded.
Well, either you're on board for cultural suicide or you're going to follow the UK and do your own little Brexit and get out of there, because the idea of EU bureaucrats in Brussels dictating your domestic and even foreign policy, that is unbelievable and unacceptable. But as I said, getting back to Mr. Carney, why don't we see what U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said about Carney, and I want to get your reaction to it, Alexa.
And there's different accounts between you and Prime Minister Mark Carney about that call this week post Davos with with President Trump. He says that he dug in and reinforced the message. You said that he walked it back.
I was on the call. Prime Minister Carney, in my investment career, I've seen what happens when a technocrat tries to pivot and become a politician. It never really works out well. So I would just encourage Prime Minister Carney to do what he thinks is best for the Canadian people, not his own virtue signaling, because we do have a USMCA negotiation coming up, and he rose to power on an anti-American, anti-Trump message, and that's not a great place to be when you're negotiating with an economy that is multiple larger than you are and your biggest trading partner. In the end, I think we will end up in a good place. It may not be a straight line.
Are you saying that they will face consequences in these trade negotiations, reopening the USMCA?
I am saying that I would not pick a fight going into USMCA to score some cheap political points. Either you are working for your own political career or you're working for the Canadian people.
What about our...
Yeah, Alexa, I couldn't agree more. As Secretary Bessent said, not a great place to be blaming the U.S. And vilifying the U.S. Those are my words, not his. Also, not a great place to be when it comes to this president. I mean, he is MAGA, Make America Great Again. So I would, the first thing I would suggest is maybe Prime Minister Carney go and try to figure out how to deal with Trump, maybe read Art of the Deal, maybe even better. Newt Gingrich had a fantastic book called Understanding Trump. So you know who you're dealing with. And instead of these threats, go to the White House, be open to making a deal, unless, going back to what we discussed a few minutes ago, is the art of the con here that this is what Carney wants, i.e. Brookfield is now an American company. Most of the assets in Carney's so-called blind trust, I understand the lion's share, are American. So do we have a prime minister in Ottawa who really does, despite what he says, wants the U.S. to succeed at the expense of Canada?
Actually, I don't know if it's by design, because what we are seeing is like Mark Carney literally won the last election, saying that he's going to have a deal with the U.S. The deal has not been reached so far. We are still negotiating. We are still at the same place when was the last election. I think we are actually worse. Now he's trying to make Canadians believe that we can actually push the U.S. on the side and kind of like open a new market, and that we don't need the U.S. anymore. That is just craziness. I'm sorry, you need the U.S. This is like, what, 80% of our trade market with the U.S. So what we are seeing is like a man who seems to put his own interests first instead of Canadian interest. And if Carney knew how to be and to love a country, it would see that Donald Trump, what he's doing is because he loves his country. Look at some country in South America. We can look at El Salvador and Argentina. They had to be really radical when they took power. Why? Because the people who were there before them let the country fall apart for so long. So at one point, what are you doing when you have like a short term? You need to crack down and make some change in order to bring back your country economically, but also socially, and bring your country back. And
well, that's
if you're
the thing,
not,
though.
This is the thing. If Carney knew how to love Canada, he will be doing the same, and he will be understanding what Donald Trump is doing by imposing tariff and trying to get like the better deal for American. And it would be like, look, I'm trying to do the same here for Canada. Can we actually find like a common ground So it's actually good for us, good for you, and then we can actually explore other market to make Canada and US stronger together.
But Alexa, to your earlier point, that's the thing. Whether you love or loathe Donald Trump, he is a patriot. He is all about the U.S. doing well. What did we hear from Prime Minister Carney in Davos just a week ago? The New World Order. What patriot, what nationalist would ever say such a phrase? And I'll never forget the look on Scott Moe's face. It's like, what are you saying? I didn't sign up for this, right? So I think Carney, who seemed to be channeling his inner Darth Vader, giving the tone of that statement, I think he played his cards openly. He's not about Canada. He's about this New World Order. And by the way, if you want some more evidence of that, read his book, Values.
And by the way, you know, yes, he made a deal like for the canola seed to be now having like 15% tariff. But what about the canola oil? I know that is a lower export that we are doing, but it's literally Canadian job where we actually transform the seed into oil. But where are we going to sell the canola oil now? Like, obviously it's a few percentage, but it's still Canadian job at the end of the day. So why not trying to include the oil and the seed like together? But yeah, it seems like it's always exporting our what we have instead of like producing everything here.
Yeah, 100%. And I tell you, Alexa, this country is not the same as it was just 10 years ago. I wonder what the factor was in changing things so badly. You know what? We're at the halfway mark. We got to take an ad break. When we get on the other side, folks, we're going to talk about the gun grab. I have great news. It's going horribly for the federal government. Stay tuned.
Calgary, if you're coming to the Conservative Party convention, or if you're like me and you like freedom and a cold drink, well, I think I have plans for you. On Saturday, January 31st at 7 p.m., Rebel News is taking over the James Joyce Irish Pub in downtown Calgary for a Rebel News mix and mingle. This is not going to be a panel discussion. There probably won't be a ton of speeches, although if there's a microphone in Ezra Levant, maybe I'm making promises that I can't keep. But really, this is going to be a night to relax, talk politics, swap war stories, and actually meet the people the legacy media loves to hate. You know what that means. Ezra Levant will be there. I'll be there too. So will Convoy superstar Tamara Leach, acclaimed children's author Elise Merle will be in from Saskatchewan, and of course our Calgary team, Angelica Toy and Sid Fazard. And hopefully, all of you will be there too. We've got complimentary snacks, a cash bar, photos, laughs, and real conversations with Conservatives from all across the country and here at home. Whether you're a longtime Rebel supporter or a Conservative Party member looking to escape the tediousness of the convention, or you're just from Calgary and looking for some fellowship with some fellow travelers in the Conservative movement, this is the place. Space is limited because tickets are affordable, and this is our way of saying thank you to the people who actually make independent journalism possible. For tickets, go to rebelnews.com/events. Again, Saturday, January 31st, 7 p.m., James Joyce Irish Pub in Calgary. Grab your tickets now, and I'll see you there. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
Well, as Sheila said, folks, we love to meet you, and without you, we're nothing. So again, let me reiterate, if you're in the Calgary area, Saturday, January the 31st at 7 p.m. at the James Joyce Irish Pub and Restaurant, we're going to have our mix and mingle. That's on 114 8th Avenue Southwest. And in addition to the big boss man, Sheila Gunn-Reid, Tamara Leach, Lise Merle, the accomplished LGBTQ plus author. I can't say that with a straight face, of course. Angelica Toy and Sid Fizzard. So come and meet us. We love meeting our viewers. You are the best. And I'm sure it's going to be packed. So get there early. So there you go. Okay, so as I alluded to, well, Alexa, things aren't going that well for the federal government's gun grab. More than half, yes, more than 50% of provinces and territories are rejecting their role in the so-called buyback. And not a day goes by, it seems, in which a police force saying, we're not on board, we don't have the resources, and also we kind of don't want to be the bad guy, going door to door to legal gun owners when we know as cops this will not make one single difference to violent gun crime. Now, why would that be? Oh, it's because this. The gangbangers with their illegal handguns, by definition, they don't follow the law, so they're not going to turn in their guns. Alexa, I think...
And breaking news, Quebec have not said that they would not... They would not enforce the law. So I'm really surprised that Quebec is just being silent.
But isn't this... No, you bring a unique perspective. Isn't this really about Quebec, where this tends to be more popular than just about anywhere else? I think, downtown Toronto, it's city mouse, country mouse. You got people that don't understand the hunting community, the sport shooting community, the gun collecting community. But really, this is kind of a Quebec issue. Is this what this is all about, Alexa? Virtue signaling, the federal government knowing in their heart of hearts this is a loser in terms of being effective. But they're going to go ahead with it anyways because we're going to score some political points in our base of La Belle Province.
Well, Quebec have, unfortunately, two big tragedy involving mass shooting. Mm-hmm. We had the Polytechnic School, and we had also the mosque in Quebec City. Mm-hmm. And also, the mainstream media were pretty good to demonize and to spread a little bit fear regarding guns. And also, it's also another virtue signaling, saying we are not for violence. We are against guns because that will make sure that our children are safe and stuff like that. But just recently, in a school in Montreal, there were teenagers who showed up in a secondary school with guns and started to shoot. And I can tell you that those guns are probably not legal guns. And this was actually a big news that broke out in Quebec, but I'm pretty sure that the English Canadian are not aware about that because it's actually way worse than what we think that what happened in this school. We have more and more teenagers involved in gangs and we have the Hells Angels and we have other criminal groups who are operating in Montreal and Quebec, and probably all of them have illegal guns. But we are not cracking down on illegal guns. We are cracking down on law-abiding citizens who actually got their guns legally and they comply to the law. They pass their courses, they get their license, and then we want to take their guns from them. And it's something that I was talking with because there would be a big protest happening on February 28th, organized by CCFR as well as other people. So they are going to protest in front of the National Assembly in Quebec, but they are inviting everybody from different provinces to join because it's not just Quebecers. It's really to ask the provincial government to remove themselves from the program and to pressure the government to review that program. I will be there, I will be covering this, but there is some people in Quebec who are not okay with that buyback program. They are not okay with all the steps being taken by the federal to restrict the rights of law-abiding gun owners. So yeah, so of course, Quebec have always been the problem, asking more and more regulation and restriction regarding guns. But the thing is, I'm not sure if they are really aware that this only concerns legal guns, and that illegal guns, doesn't apply to illegal guns. So I'm not even sure if they are aware of that, because unfortunately, they are not really well informed. It's what I can see. And, you know, Quebecers are the kind of person, they are not really involved in politics. They are not really involved if it's not touching directly their own life. So I hope that they will wake up and they will see that there is a problem of infringement of your rights. And it starts with guns, but where does it end?
Yeah, and also throwing millions of dollars at something that is not going to be effective. And as I said earlier, Alexa, the real tragedy is every Liberal MP knows this. This is all about virtue signaling. This is all about politics and has 0.0 to do with public safety. And you mentioned the CCFR. We have a little video clip in which the CCFR speaks about how not all police forces are built the same way.
The Oak Bay, Victoria, and Saanich police departments, along with the BC RCMP, say they'll participate. Vancouver Island police departments are voicing their support for a plan to facilitate the federal government's buyback program for assault-style firearms. The BC Association of Chiefs of Police is proposing a collection unit where people can drop off firearms recently banned by the federal government. The Oak Bay, Victoria, and Saanich police departments, along with the BC RCMP, say they'll participate in the initiative. Saanich police say the logistics of how the unit will work, who will staff it, how long it will run, and how it will be funded are still in the works.
Southern Vancouver Island will have one designated collection point that will be south of the Malahat, and we will work out that location later and communicate it to the public.
You know, that's all very odd, because I always thought the police say, don't bring the guns to the police department, right? But Alexa, like I said, it seems not a day goes by in which a police force, including significant ones like the Toronto Police Service, say, we're not doing this. So logistically, how is this going to, unfold? I mean, I remember several months ago when this was in the news, the Liberals were running out of bagmen to do their work, from the RCMP saying no to major police forces saying no. And do you remember they once floated, we'll get Canada Post to do the gun grab. Can you imagine going to your local Shoppers Drug Mart? There's an 18-year-old kid behind the counter and, hey, I'm here to turn in my assault-style firearm. This is madness.
I would say that probably what they will end up with will be antique like guns, like old guns that is not even working anymore. I think this is what they will end up with. Take, for example, the case of the pilot project in Cap-Breton. Didn't work. They got, 25 guns on 200? Didn't really work well. So nobody who actually acquire legally a gun is willing to give it back. And by the way, so you need to turn yourself in saying, oh, I have a gun, so I will register to have a compensation, not knowing if you will be eligible for the compensation. So you need to turn yourself in saying, yes, I have a gun. And then you need to wait to see, do I will have a compensation or not? So they might actually take your gun and not give you money for it. So it's madness. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that all this will fall. Why I'm saying that? Look at what they did with the gas car. They wanted to not sell any gas car after 2035. They had to backtrack and say, we're not doing it because nobody were interested to buy those cars. It was too expensive. And it was like pressuring people coerce people to do something against their will. And it's the same that what we are seeing, those gun owners, those law-abiding gun owners are not willing to give their guns. They are not going to do so. And you will see what they will end up with will be nothing.
No, and I agree with your point. It is despicable that you would not fairly compensate Canadians for, taking their property away. That's one thing. The other thing, Alexa, I can tell you, I'm not a gun owner myself. And I want everyone in Ottawa to hear that. I am not a gun owner myself. Don't raid my house. You're not going to find
I'm
anything.
not, too.
But I've gone out to the gun community. I've gone to gun clubs. I've gone to gun shops. My heart goes out to these gun shops, Alexa. It is becoming almost impossible to do business. You'll sell a firearm to somebody, and a week later, it's deemed to be on the prohibitive list or restricted list. They're willy-nilly changing the rules, changing the rules to baseball in the bottom of the ninth inning. But be that as it may, these people are incredibly struggling. So I wonder when it comes to, the retail gun industry, the hunting industry, the shooting club industry, where's that elbows up mantra?
Yeah, the only thing is again, there is some people who survived who have their own business depend on selling guns to people who are adapt, who know how to use guns. Again, you're going to punish them and destroy their old business. I feel really sad for them because, at the end of the day, if you look at the crime rates, the vast majority are being committed by illegal guns, and mainly suicide or, people who try to kill themselves. That's sometimes it's legal guns because it's been used for, the suicide rate. I'm not saying that it's appropriate. I think it's horrible, but for mainly crimes that we are seeing, it's illegal guns. Are we going to solve any problem by removing the guns from the law-abiding citizen? Actually, my point is, at the end of the day, if we are removing all the legal guns from the market and in circulation in Canada, do you think it's safer for Canadians, knowing that there is a lot of criminals with illegal guns who can actually enter your house and point a gun at you? Because now they will know there is no guns in circulation anymore. There is only illegal guns in circulation. And now you will see that if they are really going forward with that program, I think it's October 31st. If you are being caught in possession of a prohibited gun, you are going to be charged the same way that if you acquire your guns legally or illegally. This is, I'm telling, it's madness.
And Alexa, people might not understand how easy it is to acquire an illegal gun. I got schooled in this. Efren and I went to the Jane Finch corridor of Toronto about 8 years ago. It was a completely different assignment. We were following around a local politician. And I saw a police officer, and we had some downtime, and I got into a discussion with him. And Jane Finch area has its issues, shall we say, with crime. And he told me, shockingly, there are parts of that corridor where you can go and you can do, let's make a deal. In other words, you can rent a handgun for $150 an hour, or you can buy it outright for $500. That's 2018 prices. I'm sure things have gone up since then. But I was personally shocked. The cops are well aware of this. So you can take all these so-called assault-style rifles off the market, and the really bad guys, they know where to go, they know where to get the guns, and the police know that this is a completely useless initiative. So let's move on. How about this video?
We caught 40 people crossing illegally without being caught at the border, me and Lincoln last summer. Do you think that those people, I'm not saying the one that we saw actually were carrying guns, but do you like think that there is no like market happening at our border at night? Like some people just like smuggling guns, smuggling drugs, smuggling people, smuggling a lot of different kind of like products.
Oh, and one of the issues I understand, Alexa, unless things have changed, and I doubt it, is, you know, when you have parts of Canada and the U.S. Bordering native reserves, there's like a two-way trade. Yeah. It's guns going north to Canada and tobacco going south to the U.S. And in these days of truth and reconciliation, is the federal government, is the RCMP going to get onto native reserves for a shakedown for guns?
No, I went there, okay? I went on the reserve. I went to Akwesasne, and I'm telling you, when I was over there, I was like, okay, every sign it's in native language, or you don't really understand. And they are literally like in the middle of Canada and the US. And so I was like, I can't really cross the other side because I'm going to breach the law. But for them, obviously it's permitted. And I've been told by some of the people who live there, do not go over there or you're going to be shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Let's move on, Alexa. Our friend, Conservative MP Andrew Lawton, you mentioned breaking the law. Mr. Lawton has some thoughts on breaking the most supreme law of this country. That would be the Constitution. And what he's referencing, of course, is the trucker convoy. Let's hear what Andrew Lawton had to say in the House.
The Federal Court of Appeal has once again affirmed that this Liberal government broke the most supreme law in this country, the Constitution, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, when it wrongly used the Emergencies Act, and also that it violated the Charter rights of Canadians by freezing the bank accounts of political protesters and limiting the legal right to protest. If this truly is a new government, will they say to Canadians right now that they will accept this ruling, uphold the civil liberties of Canadians, and not appeal this to the Supreme Court?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as a proud resident of the National Capital Region, I can only but lament this member's repeated, and I will give him this, he's been consistent on this, his repeated endorsement of the occupation of this downtown, of the disturbance and unbelievable annoyance that this created for residents of downtown Ottawa, and of the fact that it was an unlawful demonstration, Mr. Speaker, that ultimately was ended by the good graces and very Canadian model of cooperative law enforcement, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Well, you know, Alexa, Steve McKinnon lost me when he said he's a proud member of the National Capital Region. Who the hell says that other than a politician? You mean Ottawa, but you know what? We don't want to exclude Quebec from being part of the Capital Region, so we don't say the O word. I mean, that's unbelievable. But clearly, no contrition, Alexa, in terms of them breaking the Constitution and the Charter of Rights, the violent shutdown of the convoy, the egregious act of freezing bank accounts of Canadians who made the sin of, donating more than $25 to the trucker convoy. I mean, I can only imagine what our newest team member, Tamira Leach, is saying, listening to this. Alexa?
Yeah?
Oh, I said I can only imagine what Tamara Leach is thinking, witnessing the complete lack of contrition by these Liberals.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the convoy dismantlement images, so I was like, oh my God, it just bring me back during those 2 days. But yeah, obviously, like Tamara Leach, she had been persecuted for years. She passed through hell, and now she's being under house arrest. Her whole life was put in pause. seriously, and now a judgment came unanimously saying that they actually everything was unconstitutional. I have a hard time with that word, unconstitutional. That was literally a violation of the Charter of Right and Freedom. And still, after this unanimous judgment, the Liberals continue to spread lies that it was unlawful. Everything was actually in order. They were cooperating with the mayor, the city. They were also talking with the police. They actually fed one of the lines for emergency vehicle. It was peaceful. I didn't see any violence. People were just there to get their basic freedom back. And so at the end of the day, if they just continue on this rhetoric because they know that there is a part of the population, mainly liberals, what I'm really surprised of, because mainly if you are liberals, you want liberty. So I don't know why you would be against the freedom convoy that was actually fighting for getting their freedom back. But anyway, they know that some of their base, their voter base, wants to hear that. Yep. They hated the convoy. And so if they don't continue on this line, it will destroy their narrative. And so I'm pretty sure that they are not ready for that. They are going to go to the Supreme Court. And I just hope that the Supreme Court will rule the same way that we just saw at the Court of Appeal.
Right. No, they've struck out twice now. And that makes me wonder if they will go to the Supreme Court. Do they want, 3 strikes and you're out, or are they going to settle with this? Who knows, Alexa? And by the way, I'm going to correct you on something. When you say you saw no violence, that wasn't true, really, because when the last day of the convoy came,
I'm
know
talking
more
about
than
the
anyone
side
else.
Of the protester.
Yeah. You got shot by some kind of canister. It hit your thigh. You were in excruciating pain. There's still so many questions about how that happened. Thank God it was your thigh and not your head. Otherwise, we might be talking about you in the past tense right now. That was absolutely despicable. And hopefully we will get answers via litigation in the months and years ahead. But Alexa, we're rapidly running out of time. One last item, because I alluded to this earlier in the show. An amazing report from Blacklock's reporter, and I understand it was like pulling teeth for Blacklock's to get this information. $885 million, okay, almost $1 billion a year annually being paid to illegal aliens and refugee claimants for free counseling, nursing, home visits, transportation, eyeglasses, and other supplemental health services. Alexa, I gotta say, you and I assume most of our viewing audience, we're such idiots. We're suckers. We get up early in the morning, we go to work, we try to work real hard to earn our pay. Why don't we just illegally cross the border and have everything given to us on a silver platter? And for almost $1 billion a year, that's money. That's real money. How do you explain this? How is this justified?
It's not. So most of the services, I don't know if you read the article, but there is services that as Canadians, we don't have access, like with the universal care, health care. I would not say free because it's not free. In Quebec, it costs like billions of dollars per year. So at the end of the day, we pay. I almost like didn't use the health care like in recent years, but I continue to pay thousands of dollars per year. For what? For giving like some good care, like glasses, access to all kind of services, like psychologists, or I don't know, for illegals who actually broke the law to come in the country. By the way, when I had like when I was in the burn down, I apply for seeing a psychologist. 1 year later, they call me back and say, "Oh, we will open your files." I was like, "Oh, too late. I'm fine now. I don't need it anymore." 1 year after, I was like, "Okay." I had the time to just like walk in front of the bus. What? And I'm pretty sure that they receive it like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Alexa, I'm going to give you some advice here. Be careful reaching out to the feds for psychological advice. I think the stand pat answer is, well, yeah, it's pretty awful out there. You know, we got this thing called MAID. Why don't you just shrug off your mortal coil and to go to the great hereafter? That's our way of doing it. But, you know, Alexa, I swear to you, I think at all border crossings and all international airports in Canada, we need a sign. It's going to be our new official slogan for the Dominion of Canada. And it will say this: "Welcome to Canada, rewarding the takers, penalizing the makers." Because there's no other way to make sense of this. If I need an Uber, I'm paying for that. I needed prescription eyeglasses for reading last year. I think it was around $140. But you come into the country illegally, you get all this for free? Give me a break.
Yeah, and you know, I remember that Cuba, when they installed the universal healthcare system, it was good at the beginning, but look at where they are today. We don't want to finish like that.
Yes. I'm dying to say something here, but my lips are sealed. Alexa, before we get to our daily cringe video, do we have some super chats, please?
Yes, we have some. So we have Dominic, I don't see the rest, Dominic P. $10, thank you. There is no question, there is nothing. So if you want to send us like maybe a question, we can actually read it. Thank you for the $10.
Thank you.
We have Wayne Gasbay, 4710. You gave $50.
Oh,
thank you so much. $25 for the great work. And another $25 for Alexa's beautiful smile. Thank you.
Well, what about my smile? What am I, Scotch Mist here? I mean, holy mackerel.
No,
But
you
do
it's
have a
minus
beautiful smile.
25 for you.
Okay. Thank you. That was very generous, $50. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We have Vito Anthony D, $2. Thank you very much. We have Goldie Gamery, declare war against you, David, on YouTube. You, David. David, you?
You know, that's very odd. I think Goldie Gamery, who used to be an Ontario MPP with the PC party, she has been outspoken about what's happening in Iran right now, and I think she's doing a good job. I'm not familiar with what she's saying about me on YouTube, but I think it goes back to some 8 years ago. We exposed Goldie Gamery for having an alias online called the Persian Cat. I won't go into things, but there were some very disturbing posts that she was making. You know, if it wasn't her, I don't know what her story is right now. Well, sue us for defamation. We're on solid ice on that one. And besides, I think the statute of limitations has passed. But that's the thing, Alexa. I call them as I see them. You know, when I originally did my reporting on Goldie Gamery many years ago, it was based on those social media posts. Now that she's out of government, I think she's doing a very good job, even if she still potentially hates my guts. I call it as I see it, like the umpire behind home plate. So maybe I should do a search.
It's our job.
Pardon me?
It's our job.
100%, and we can't be personal. But I'll you know, do a search of YouTube and see if I can find out what it is that she's saying, or maybe these are very old videos. Who knows? But it's sad to hear, though.
Might be an old video that just emerged back. We have Pisco Field, $10. We have had many shooting deaths in the U.S. No one wants to see murders, but we, as a nation, have concluded that the rights to bear arms transcend personal tragedies. True.
100%. And,
100%.
It's otherwise known as the Second Amendment. And I would argue, I think the safest schools and campuses would be those that have a retired member of law enforcement armed and ready for any trouble. You know what's amazing, Alexa? When you look at the Democrats, where they put their kids into school, typically it's private schools, and typically it's private schools with armed security. So one law for thee, one law for me. Total hypocrisy.
As usual, like just an example. We are seeing what President Donald Trump is doing with ICE to remove illegals in the country. But if you look at during the election with Hillary Clinton, she was literally saying the same thing. If you came here illegally, deport. If you're working here, you're not paying your tax and you're not contributing, but we need to make you pay all you do. And if you are not able to speak English and you're not able to integrate, deport. She was saying the same thing, but because it's the Democrats, it's fine. But because now it's Donald Trump, oh my God, there is like such a double standard over there. And it's crazy that people cannot see it, especially like Democrats themselves. They cannot acknowledge that their rhetoric has changed and that now they are actually like falling into far left Marxism ideology.
Oh, 100%. You know, I remember back in the 80s when Oldsmobile was still a division of General Motors, they had this ad campaign and the tagline was, not your father's Oldsmobile, meaning that, you know, we're now new and hip. And well, the fact is it still was your father's Oldsmobile. But anyway, what I'm getting at, this isn't your father's Democrat Party, right? As you alluded to, they have swung far, far left. They are consumed with a Marxist Islamist agenda. And I think this is somewhat terrifying. I know Charlie Kirk, God bless his soul, when he was still alive, he used to call out conservatives, don't cheer this on. Don't say this is a good thing, we're always going to win. Because the indoctrination of young people in school, you might have future generations that this is a winning platform. And what did we just see in New York City with Mandami getting elected, Alexa? A Marxist Islamist in a city that, you know, just 25 years ago experienced 9/11. It is unbelievable.
And New York represents capitalism, and now we have like someone who is promoting communism.
Oh, whether it's AOC or Bernie Sanders, the list goes on. They are far, far left. And, you know, my only hope is that Democrats, and this is a midterm election year, will continue to lose so that they're brought back to center. Because if there has to be, you know, and let's face it, in the future, there'll be future Republican administrations and there'll be Democrat administrations. Let's hope the Democrats aren't this far left party, because that's bad for America and it's bad for the world, quite frankly.
Yeah, because everything starts with the U.S. The U.S. is the first power. And if something happen in the U.S., it will affect all of us, literally.
100%. Well, Alexa, our last item on the docket, it's from Ezra. He's speaking about the government comedians at the CBC state broadcaster. Is he speaking about one of the comedy shows, or is it the actual news department? But anyways, let's see what Ezra had to say. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not a video.
No, I think it's he wrote something.
Oh,
he wrote something over a video, I think. Yeah, no, it's a video.
Read it, and then we'll throw to the video. So what Ezra said, the government comedians at the CBC state broadcaster aren't even trying to be funny. They're not even using the laugh track anymore. It's just pure partisan insults. They're bravely serving the establishment by holding opposition to account as real comedians do. So let's check it out.
Oh my God, this is Pierre's worst New Year's party yet.
You think so? Remember 2021?
We had to help him put his contacts in. This one's worse. Look around. We're at a loser party. Okay, maybe we should go to the Liberal Party.
Hey, isn't this party something, team? No music, fully lit, hard chairs. I love it.
Yeah.
Too bad some of the group left for the Liberal Party. Traitorous scum.
Yeah, hate traitorous scum.
Plus, I heard the party sucks anyway. You know, open bar. Can you imagine enjoying a drink you didn't earn?
Yeah.
Plus, new year, new Pierre. I'm nice and I'm fun now. You guys want to play my favorite party game? Eye test.
Yeah, maybe in a bit.
Okay, you're missing out.
Don Tremont just texted me, and they are currently doing body shots off of Mark Carney's abs. And whoever leaves now gets to be Minister of Transportation.
Oh, that's one of the easy ones.
Hey, we are true blue conservatives. We're not gonna have fun at the Liberal Party. It'll be too woke.
No, they've changed, okay? Apparently, every drink comes with a plastic straw.
Oh.
You know, the worst thing I can say about a comedic sketch or a joke, Alexa, is I don't get it. Because ostensibly, I should be laughing. And I was watching that for the first time, and I was trying to be open-minded. I don't get it, other than this is more ongoing propaganda via the CBC to vilify Mr. Poilievre, to plant the seed in Canadians' minds, at least those Canadians that get their news and entertainment from the CBC, that this is a very unlikable guy. You shouldn't be voting for him. That's all I got. What say you?
You know, I'm the first one really to acknowledge when it's funny. Same if it's like obviously targeting like one political side, like the Bye-Bye example that is produced by CBC, but a French one that we have every end of the year. Mainly usually they are marking all political party equally. But what we saw, it's they actually mock more one side than the other one. And at one point, it was just obvious that they were trying to demonize and like they literally like called Little Loser, the leader of the Conservative Party of Quebec, the Little Loser in the sketch. Did they do that with Carney or something like that? No. They use like rhetoric, really meanful, really mean against a side. And like, it's supposed to be paid with our taxes. So it's supposed to be neutral, but they are so biased. And now it's just obvious that they are biased and they are pushing one side and they are trying to demonize the other one. And it's just ridiculous at this point. And I hope like Canadians are seeing it, but unfortunately, I'm not sure about that.
No, you're so right. And it parallels what we see in the U.S. with the late night talk shows. It used to be, I'm going back to the days of Johnny Carson. He would make jokes about Republicans. He'd make jokes about Democrats too. He was an equal opportunity comedian. But now you tune in, and I don't tune in, but you know, sometimes I'll check into a hotel and I put on the TV and it's, you know, one of the late night shows, and it is just endless Trump derangement syndrome preaching. It's not even comedy anymore. It like I said, it's propaganda. And wow, it sure is cringeworthy, isn't it? Alexa, I think we're going to have to wrap it here. Do we have any more super chats just in case?
No, I think it's everything that we have.
Okay. Well, thank you to you and your beautiful smile, as the viewer alluded to, for coming on to help me out today. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in, especially those who gave us a super chat. Unlike our competitors in the mainstream media, we don't go into your wallet or your bank account to fund Rebel News. We are completely dependent on you. I'll be back here tomorrow, I think with Drea Humphrey, for the Rebel News live stream panel discussion. In the meantime, as always, stay safe and stay sane.
Hi, Premier Hurston. Mark Rams with the Toronto Star. Can I just ask you about the rising threat of separatism both in Alberta and Quebec, where there is a party leading the polls that wants to have a referendum? What do you just make about that, especially in the current moment that we're in?
I mean, the strength of Canada is our diversity and our size, and we want that unity across the country. So we're hopeful that we can navigate through those situations. We have to recognize that there are people with grievances, and accepting those grievances and trying to work through them is really important. But I'm on Team Canada, and I love this country, and I believe in this country, and I like this country the way it is. So I'm hopeful that we'll get through this.